Hello viewers, welcome to Mynahcare Positive Life series. Today's episode is dedicated to World Hepatitis Day. While the World Health Organization has focused on elimination as the theme going forward, we need to find out what's happening in India. We need to find out how we are addressing the issue. To talk about this, we have come to Medanta Medicity to interact with Dr. Neelam Mohan, who is a director here. We'll try to know from her how India is shaping up as far as this disease is concerned. We'll try to know from her much beyond what we know on a regular basis. Over to Dr. Mohan. Ma'am, thank you for your time. I mean, from the point of view of the viewers, we really feel very happy that we got your time. And on the occasion of World Hepatitis Day, your inputs to our viewers would stand a long way for the viewers. I'll directly start asking you the questions. This year's theme on World Hepatitis Day is elimination. And before we even get into elimination, we need to know in details what is hepatitis and how many types exist and how dangerous is it?
Right. I think this is a question which everybody has been talking, and I guess I'm happy that the endeavor of you all to try to give this knowledge to the masses, which is more important. And a lot of people take synonyms as hepatitis and jaundice. So the first step I want the public to know, hepatitis and jaundice are two different words. Jaundice is a manifestation, पीलिया हो जाना. Why? So hepatitis is one of the cause for jaundice. So they are not synonymous. And jaundice could be due to so many other causes. It could be related to drugs, cancer, liver disease, metabolic, whatever. But hepatitis is one of the commonest cause of jaundice or liver disease. And this is a condition which can be prevented rather than beautifully treated.
Right.
So the most of the time medicine, we have to talk about prevention. Whether you talk about in the government strategies, anywhere in the world you talk about economics and all. What is our endeavor? Our endeavor is to cut down, to bring, to eliminate the goal, how to prevent it. So I think when I talk about prevention, to understand prevention, you need to know how does it occur, because that's how I can prevent it.
Right.
For simple thing, I would say is that the viruses is A, B, C, D, E. Forget D, because D, poor fellow, cannot do anything without B. So let's forget D. So it's A, B, C, E. To make things simple, A and E is waterborne or contaminated water and food. In Hindi, if I am allowed to say, दूषित पानी व खाने से होता. So this is A or E. So that means it can be totally prevented.
Absolutely.
Because if I take care of my water, my hygiene, my food, I should be able to prevent it. We'll talk about vaccines a little later. Then comes B and C. Thanks to the knowledge of HIV, it doesn't really make me efforts to impress on you what is B and C, because everybody now understands what's HIV. So how does HIV spread? HIV spreads through physical contact or blood and blood products. Similarly, hepatitis B and C spread through blood and blood products, contaminated needles, procedures, instruments, anything that is deal with, and the through the sexual intercourse and then mother to child during the delivery. So these are exactly the same way that HIV is spreading. Why did we start harping about Hepatitis Day? Why? Now the reason is that it's something which hasn't hit the masses still. People are not realizing. We were all so scared of HIV, and then it was rather a good thing, because the amount of success that we could achieve in taking care of these people was absolutely applaudable.
Right.
International agencies and every way we did. So now we are talking about the load of hepatitis in the world. You know better than me, it's like millions of population, and almost every year 6 to 10 million new cases are added.
Right.
Coming to my India, my Bharat is Mahan. So in India also, you see the simple way we say we have like more than 1.2 billion people, and the hepatitis B and C put together is a little different in different states, but an average if I take, let's put it say between 3 to 5% or around 4 to 5. This virus goes slowly, it grows, it takes decades, 20, 30 years, but by the time it occurs in childhood, because depending on the endemicity, depending on the area where you live, like in our country, majority of the transmission occurs during pregnancy and early childhood. So my load is people who get it at a younger age,
Right.
rather than people who are getting it through drugs and all. They're a small proportion through, Now, so these people, by the time they get 20, 30 years later, like the amount of the nation's strength, your young age, they are collapsing.
Right.
And the amount of money that you end up spending on an individual is humongous.
Right.
To save them, because they end up with cancers and cirrhosis and a liver disease, and everybody cannot afford a transplant. So it's just the tip of the iceberg who can do a transplant to save themselves.
Right.
The rest of them are all dying, and the quality of life that they live is pretty bad, and they don't even know about it till it happens. So that is why we want the public, everybody, to understand the basics. What are the basics? Hepatitis B and C, which is equivalent to nearly 400 crore of population of my country, is mostly acquired in children and newborns and in childhood. And this hepatitis C, we don't have a vaccine, but God was amazing and kind. It's like hepatitis C we discovered much later than B. B we could not still, we have a vaccine, so I can prevent it. But when it comes to treatment, we have been still pretty bad. We've not really conquered it.
Right.
But C, we've conquered now. And that has been recent in the last couple of years. So at least we've conquered in the sense we have a treatment which is available for 50,000 rupees, which, yes, you might think it is expensive or what, but still a lot of NGOs, and it's like it's a population in our country where there's a beautiful rich and the poor, and the rich can actually pay for the poor, and we can look into that, and it can be. So we at least have conquered in the management of hepatitis C. So what we can do now is to look into the prevention. We should ensure universal immunization of hepatitis B, and we should ensure teaching people how it spreads. You go and get a shave done. You're tired. Did you even bother how it is, what it is? You were intelligent. You go to the person. No, use a different blade. You used a different blade. What about the razor? If that razor had one drop of blood of the guy who came before you, who had his done, you need 1/100th of the amount that you need to spread HIV.
Okay.
So even 0.01 ml can spread hepatitis B, which people don't know. So the razor had a dried drop. It had a dried drop, and the virus can live up to a week.
Okay.
So if you did not clean it in that, Cidex solution, or
in the right way.
in the, you're supposed to clean it. So
Right.
the parlor should also have that system of cleaning the razors before using it, rather than just changing it.
Right.
Because you get people who say, how did I get it? And then, you're taking girls for piercing the ears,
Tattoo.
tattooing. So it's like hidden. You're going for filing, you're going for pedicure. I go just in case I had a little cut in my fingernail. It doesn't mean it spread. It doesn't spread to an intact skin. It can only spread if that skin is at, there's a breach in the skin and it can go.
Right.
But what I'm trying to impress onto you is that it can be there in a dried blood. And the amount you need is 100 that you need of an HIV. So these are the hidden sources which can be preventable. And so I do a lot of talks in the school, and that's like my goal. Having done a lot of work in liver diseases for children, God has been really kind, and I've been blessed recently where everybody loves to be appreciated, right from a child to an adult, because there's a child within you, and the child loves to be appreciated for what you do. So it was one of the most beautiful gift that I could get was when I got recently the BC Roy Award from the President of India. And BC Roy is like the Arjuna Award in sports. It's equivalent to that. And why did I get it? For developing liver disease and liver transplant in children. So, it was a tough journey talking about it. How did I go? That sometime else you can come and take an interview. But those 25 years or those 20 years, the youngsters can take a message. Nobody dies out of hard work. And today, this morning, I was reading a beautiful message when, that something like that Shah Rukh Khan saying, जब तुम ज़हन से, लग जाती हो किसी चीज़ के तो कायनात भी तुम्हारे साथ जुड़ जाता है. And in English, I read this morning that if you think you're determined and you do it, in the right way, there should be no self-motive, something involved. Like Krishna said, so I should not just look for it. So as I said, we all love being appreciated. But if you do it in the right way and you're right, then God opens some door which no human being can shut.
True.
So people try to stop your path, but then be on. So there are a lot of people, when I meet youngsters, I get so impressed. There are a lot of people who want to do social service, but they don't know how to do it. So people like you, Myna, I was so impressed when I was trying to talk to you. Your foundation, what is it going to do? So here you are, giving it to the society in your own sweet way, where by increasing this awareness, and I want to go and utilize you a little more. How will I do that? Now, my dream is that if I have my NGO or a society, which is a society which I want to look into the liver diseases or the nutrition and GI problems, because that's my strength. And so if people contribute in terms of money, in terms of time, in terms of, there's so many young children, when you go abroad, they insist that your CV should be strong. What is that CV asking? They don't ask the students how much marks you get. You need to do some social work.
Right.
This is lacking in India, and I think your endeavor in increasing the awareness needs to be appreciated, that you're trying to do it. And I hope people understand that how you can prevent it, and just blaming the government is not right. What have you given? What have you given before you ask? We
Ma'am,
can keep cribbing and cribbing.
I'll just take a word out of your eloquent starting. Is that the right way? And the last word, government. In terms of, you mentioned about HIV, and the similarity in the way they spread. So my question is in two parts. One, government has put in tremendous effort in trying to curb HIV, and there are proof that the incidence has gone down. So will hepatitis benefit from this initiative of HIV and how it spreads? That's one. Second, when you are talking about right way, is the government taking the right way to curb? Okay, government might not be able to do everything, but in terms of creating an infrastructure, in terms of the vaccination of people, which should be made a universal approach, is government doing that? And what's your view on that?
I have always been an extremely optimistic person. I always thought that the glass is half full and not the glass is half empty. There are people who criticize and say that the government is not doing this and that. But you need to, I mean, when I'm probably made to sit on that chair, would I do something different? That is what needs to be, you know. Everybody thinks that. So I think they are making the right efforts. But the system in our country, being democratic, has its own advantages and disadvantages. And that, I think, is probably a little bit weakness that happens, because it has made it quite universal in a lot of states.
Right.
So that needs to be appreciated. Health is a state subject. So that also we need to understand that if I expect like USA to spend 18% of my GDP on health, it's not possible. It's not possible. So the government spends less than 2% GDP.
Right.
So in that 2%, they're trying to utilize this in the best of methods. And I strongly feel that they have to take experts with them. And I can see that happening. They are taking a lot of experts now. I've been into a couple of committees, but unfortunately I'm not into any of the liver committee. And it would be a privilege for me to be into that, because people are not realizing that it all starts in the newborn and childhood.
Right.
So we would be the right people to also participate and help you out. But at the same time, you don't need all politically driven people. You need experts who have the right vision, and along with the technology, the ITNs. The technology is very important in medicine today. So I think the vision, the dream of taking it over throughout the country, to me, I'm not going to crib if you were expecting me to. I'm not cribbing. I think the technology that India has, it will definitely do it. And what advantage can I take? Now, since HIV centers are everywhere, let's use it judiciously, use the right money in there.
Right.
So the same HIV centers, the same, you know, the PICs and all the Anganwadi workers and health workers just need to be a little
Geared
updated.
towards.
So the same infrastructure, you don't need to waste a lot of money into a separate thing.
Right.
So you need, yes, the people and experts, and you know, I think that the government does make efforts, and we should just keep guiding them, and they always call the experts to guide them somewhere. And so that's how I think it can be taken, where they can do it. And when it comes to vaccination, yes, they should make it universal. But the second point, which you are not realizing when I said, are we right, is despite the best of our efforts, the 8 immunization like D, P, T, BCG, polio, are we giving it to all? What is the vaccination coverage? The vaccination coverage is still at the best 60%.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is, it's we, not he, not you.
Somebody else will not come and do it for me.
It's we. So all of us need to see how I can contribute, how we can contribute. And instead of just, talking unhealthy of some of the experts who, take away the money, the government gives the money, but the money doesn't percolate. There are a lot of people who take, but I think things are improving. Look it up in a positive manner. Thanks to the media, what things were 15 years, 10 years down the line, now people, there is corruption, I know there is corruption everywhere, but it's improving. And I'm sure things would change. I'm very positive about things. So that's how I look at it. And because they have to use the infrastructure, the money judiciously. So that's how, because diabetes, is a major health problem. So they are spending a lot of money into that, and the cardiac issues. Now everybody thinks my disease is most important. To me, I always say, when you love somebody, in Hindi you say mere jigar ka tukda, you never say mere dil ka tukda. So I argue with the cardiologist in saying, oh, my liver is more important than you. That the argument can go on between jigar and dil. But it's like, when you are unwell, you need your heart as much as you need your liver.
Ma'am,
so it's that way.
Your specialty area is liver for sure, but kids.
Yes.
So
yes.
from that point of view, how do you see understanding of parents? How do you see the infrastructure related to kids preventing it from the very start?
You know, it's nobody's really asked that question, and I'm very happy you asked. When I do my clinic in a place like, Gurgaon, Medanta, and I do it in defense colonies, so I look into the south, and and before that I was working in a old hospital where I had clientele where we used to do a lot of service to the poor too. So I've kept this tag where I like, and why do I like to work for them? Because I feel that they are those innocent people who need to be informed. I thought that they need my services as much. But you'll be surprised when I am working with the rich people too. They don't have the knowledge, they have the money. So it is the information that needs to be percolated both to the rich and the poor.
Right.
Even people who can afford, half the time do not know whether the child has got hepatitis B vaccine or not.
Right.
So there is a sector which is very particular. Even if they are poor, they try to ensure that they're taking the vaccination, but they won't remember what it is. Fair enough. But I'm just trying to say, so it is the lack of knowledge that a mother is feeding the child wrong. The child is thin and the child is obese. So same day, I'm seeing 35% of obese children and 20% who are thin and who are coming to me. And both the mothers, due to ignorance, are not able to give the right nutrition to that. Right. So when I started it, if you noticed, I said I want to work in 3 fields. Right. I said the liver, the intestine and the nutrition. Right. Because I feel nutrition is the core to everything.
True.
If you are not rightly nourished, under and over, both are bad for my liver. Undernutrition is bad for my liver, it gives rise to fat in the liver. And here I am, 1 in 4 kids, 1 in 3 adults are walking who's in India, got a pot belly or is, overweight and obese. What's going on? What's going on? Technology.
Right.
So the technology which was my strength few minutes back is my weakness, because that technology made my child sit in the room, play with the gadgets. He's all the time on the mobile phone, on the computer, on the laptop, and not in the gardens, in the fields and there. We all walked to school, even if we were decently well off, because that was the style that time. If your school was 10 minutes walk, you were supposed to walk unless it rained, then you had right. somebody dropping you.
Right.
Do you see that now?
So there is a lifestyle
it's like everybody
on
wants to be dropped, everybody wants to be picked up. It's like nobody wants to send their children to get this and that. So these are the things. So both the rich and the poor are equally ignorant, and I need to work in both the fields. So what did I start? Now I started in the last 1 year doing periphery clinics. I go say once a month to Rivari. I started going once a month to Jammu and trying to go to Agra. Or I went to Bathinda. What am I trying to do? People had money, but they just needed someone to give them the right guidance. And what will I do? I'll try to just educate the people around, even as much as I can. I've had 700 presentations in this country. Literally 50 talks in a year I go outside. So you have 54 weeks and I'm traveling on the weekends trying to give. So you need to educate your colleagues, which are the doctors, and there's so much of difference now as compared to 10 years. Everybody's in the WhatsApp group. So the education level, the CMA is moving so high.
Ma'am,
so I'm very optimistic.
Interestingly, you are hitting at an area which is also something that you would love to get into, is policy. So if I need to ask you, what are the top 5 policy changes you will initiate if you had the power to do it? As far as hepatitis is concerned, what would be your response?
Right. So first is I would try to spend my money into increasing the spread of knowledge. it's like the knowledge is first awareness, right? You will know you should not do this or that unless you're aware you wouldn't. So step number one is awareness, and that awareness is reaching to the masses on increasing, whether I use the media which is in the radio or the TV,
Right.
these are the media. So that would be for the public, and for the doctors I would have some softwares or whatever designed for them for the basic education, right? And children are the best way to reach. So whenever I started, like for years I do talks in schools. I go to the government girls schools, I go to colleges, I go to DPS, I go to Lords Valley, I go to APJ, I go to so many other schools and try to give them awareness talks on hepatitis B and C. And the children love it. They just have so many doubts, and that's number one.
Right.
Like awareness, so that I would do. Second step I would like to do is the work on the vaccination part. Third is I would try to get into a PPP model, where the government needs to be in a PPP model with the private sectors, because it's not possible for the government to do it and it's not possible for the private to do it. And it's like health is a sector where 70% is in the private and 30% is in the public, and the insurances and all are coming. So and there have been a lot of talks about putting hepatitis C into insurance. Why shouldn't they get it? Because you got it accidentally through a razor, so why should not you be? It's like an accident for you too. So getting those insurances, right now there are a lot of insurance companies which do not include hepatitis, which is wrong. So looking into that policy of the insurance and the PPP models is there. In a small amount I would like to spend on research.
Okay.
So that's how would be my 5 policies where I would like to judiciously use my
Ma'am,
money.
interestingly, you started off by distinctly differentiating jaundice and hepatitis. So I'm being pushed to ask this question to you. What are the top 5 liver ailments in India?
Well, you mean in children or in adults?
Maybe both.
I think I would like to separate it.
Yeah.
Now in children, it's different from the adults, and in the adults the top 5 ailments would be the hepatitis B and C is among the top, alcoholic liver disease, fatty liver disease. So till now, what was I talking? I was talking of all preventable.
Right.
So I was talking about lifestyle. So fatty liver disease or hepatitis B and C and alcoholic liver disease, these are among the top, and the rest then comes the biliary, the cancers and all that stuff. And when it comes to the children, we have the diseases. We don't see hepatitis B and C giving a lot of burden, which I told you, because the burden comes later on, but though it starts in childhood. So if I can see how to prevent from the mother to the child, which I said I'm going to use my money into awareness.
Right.
That is what I mean. What are the 5 objectives in my awareness about mode of spread?
Right.
That needs to be going everywhere. So that how to take care of it. And then the metabolic liver disease and congenital liver disease.
Right.
So what happens is you're born with something anatomically defective, so like biliary atresia, where your ducts from the liver to the intestine is not formed, or you have one chemical locha, as rightly put in that movie Munabai. So that chemical locha, that means a chemical reaction or a gene, something going wrong in your liver. So that gives rise to the metabolic and the genetic liver disease. So people get surprised that you're doing liver transplants. How do children need liver transplants? Well, of course children need liver transplants because these are the diseases. Right. So, and then comes the liver failure. And in the liver failure, hepatitis A is one of the common cause of liver failure, which can be prevented, and you have a vaccine for hepatitis A. Why did I not talk about the vaccine? Because the vaccine for hepatitis A is expensive. And since, it's like you have to individualize it. Now, if I can afford it, so that's how I would like to give my child. but there's somebody who may not be able to afford it. So it gets very difficult for the government to say that I'm going to do universal hepatitis A vaccination. But maybe, a decade later we might reach there. Right now we're talking about B. And so what can I do about A? About A, I can ensure safe water.
True.
So if I can look into the water and this thing, I can prevent it. Sadly, 1 in 1,000 children or 1 in 100 adolescent and adults who acquire hepatitis A get into liver failure. And liver failure means you need to be in the best of centers. It's a lot of money in the ICU that you need to spend. And despite the best measures, we can save 50% and 50% need a transplant.
Right.
So 1 in 100 to 1,000 of hepatitis A can end up with liver failure, which we are not able to scare people because we think that the government wants to utilize the money into malaria or dengue, and why not? So that way I cannot talk about how the government needs to be, utilizing the really experts there who have, the brains, and they have a committee. The people who are well educated, those people will guide them into that.
Ma'am, interestingly, I would like to invoke the policymaker in you and would touch on 2 areas that you talked about. One is communication in terms of reaching out to people and making them aware of what ails them. The second is the aspect that government alone cannot reach out. It has to be a private and government coming together.
Absolutely.
From the 6th policy point of view, can we look at alternate medicine being cheaper, being more close at hand, and possibly helping?
It's a beautiful question. The truth is, I do not know. The truth is, I do not know. We always, in our medical field, tries to, majority, sort of criticize and say, do not use this herbal medicines and all that stuff. The truth is, most of us don't know.
Okay.
But yes, there is now acceptance. We are realizing the strength of India and China. These are the people, these are the countries where a lot of work is being done on the plant medicines and the Ayurvedic and all. It's one of the, we Indians need to be proud about it because it's been one of the ancient thing which came up from a country, and before we existed, so what happens is we need to probably go hand in hand and they need to take us along and we need to take them along. We need to put our brains together and try to understand whether judiciously utilizing our money, how we can do it, because there is claim, as someone was rightly saying, among the top 10 sales of companies, there is some company which is trying to sell a product for liver. So sometimes the parents come to me and say, isko bhuk nahi lag rahi, iska liver test kara do, isko ye nahi lag rahi, iska liver kara do. So there has been the ancient parents, grandparents have actually driven it into their mind that liver kamzor ho jane se aapko, you won't feel hungry, you tired, or so something, and they were actually right in their own way.
Right.
So that opens a Pandora of things where I think we should take those people along, and I think we need to do research into us. We should not just emulate the Western people.
Right.
And just, what have we given to the world in research? What? We just mimic what they are doing and call ourselves top researchers. Do we really come out with innovative products?
True.
We are extremely good in emulating that product and making the cheaper versions of that.
Right.
So we have the brains, we can do. And now India doesn't have any dearth of infrastructure and IT technicians and, so if that technology and the infrastructure and getting along together, with that medicine, we have to respect the other person for what he or she knows. Knowledge is a vast ocean. We all can't have the same drop. We might have some drops. We need to share and we need to move it forward. So that's how I feel.
Ma'am, it's excellent to see you so open to alternate medicine. It is humbling to note that you mentioned that you are not aware of everything. Not many show that courage. Ma'am, taking a step forward from there, when you are talking about holistic living, when you are talking about prevention, as step one, cure comes much later. We see a lot of lifestyle diseases and a lot of lifestyle changes parallelly growing. What is your view on yoga as a method of prevention in hepatitis?
You just gave me yoga. Basically, what you wanted to ask me was, or rather, I would put it is, if I had to say what is the role of an exercise.
Okay.
Right? Why? Because yoga has been, something which is been there in India and people have utilized it worldwide. Why is yoga popular? Majority of the illnesses are psychosomatic. Majority. I'm suffering from a disease. I'm not able to eat something, or I'm not able to perform. I'm not able to do. So it has an effect on me psychologically. So majority of the illnesses, what does a doctor do half the time? We're so busy. We're just looking at, and you will be surprised, and I'm not lying, that I make every effort, and my psychologist child says that she's totally mesmerized. How do I have the vision of understanding? Even children get into depression, right? Wow. So with that illness, do we even bother? You're just giving them 20 pricks. You've got a liver disease, you've got a renal disease. Do you sit down? You just want to talk to the parents. So I have made amazing systems of cartoons and some books. I talk to them, make them receptive. And at the end of it, their support to me is huge. Yesterday, I had to declare to a child about he's suffering from HIV. How did I do it? It is going to take some time. And so what I'm trying to say to you was, majority of the illnesses are psychosomatic, and yoga has been one of the best appreciable thing because of the asanas, because of the breathing. It's supposed to give rise to you to relaxation. So it has an effect on the psychosomatic. So I think that is the way. But at the same time, if I'm asked by a youngster that can I go to gym, can I do walking, I'm very happy.
Do it.
Because that's probably, if you're overweight, it is probably better than yoga to lose weight. Why do I say that? I do 3 days a week yoga and I do 3 days a week gym, right? So I do equally both. 3 days I'm like, and definitely the amount of workout that I do in a gym and the perspiration and all, I know I'm burning more calories there.
True.
I know that.
True.
Then why did I not leave this 3 hours of yoga and get into 6 hours and lose more? But I also know that the 3 days of yoga I totally enjoy because the movement of that asanas, which despite my young age, so it keeps me flexible and it gives me those breathing exercises and relaxation. And in every profession, whether you like it or not, we do get short-tempered. And when you're leading I lead a department, and that's one of the first departments in the country where I created for children intestine liver diseases, and where in the private sector, this was the first department which came, where I have like 11 people working with me just to look into the intestine and liver disease of children. There's no break even. It's like huge amount of money spent, but then everything is not money.
True.
You need to grow horizontally and not just vertically after some time, like a banyan tree. Put your properties and, get and look into the other drops and see how you go about it. So I personally enjoy yoga as much as I enjoy exercises. So I always put it to the quote of the person what does he or she enjoy. If you think you need to lose weight, just yoga won't be enough. But it definitely is good from the liver point of view also, because it is psychosomatic and it helps you relaxation, and those asanas and everything are very good.
Ma'am, it was an amazing time interacting with you, starting from policy to what the government is doing, awareness, what you do to spread awareness. Before we sign off, a few encouraging words for the Mynahcare viewers who would be directly listening to you on how they can take care of themselves from the menace of hepatitis.
Thank you so much. And the general tips that I would give is get aware. Be aware how hepatitis spreads. To recapitulate, hepatitis A and E spreads through contaminated water and food. So it's your nails, the cook, the people who eat, and in small children, sometimes when they take a bath, they're playing and they're doing a shower and it goes in the mouth. Right. So these are small little things which even the parents don't realize. So prevention, safe water is very important. If you need to spend money on water, I think it was worth it. So that is very important that you need to. Second is that there are vaccines available. So please ensure that not only your children, do you know what is your hepatitis B antibody? There you go. So you, being so educated, do not know that whether you've been vaccinated, because when you were a young child, I'm sure your mother, the hepatitis B awareness was not there. So the question, the cameraman, whether he's vaccinated. So let's start from here. So most of us do not know that we need to get vaccinated. So we need to understand the awareness, the role. Then we need to understand how does it spread. So hepatitis B and C spreads like HIV through contaminated dental equipments, razors, ear piercing, tattooing, filing. These are something hidden. Somebody gets a bleed, you go and hold that blood of a person. You don't even know what it is. So please use something, a barrier in between you and that person. It could be a glove, but if somebody is bleeding, you can't be looking for glove. Keep a cloth, keep a hanky, because you don't know what it is, but you need to take care of the person. So these are subtle little things where you can understand about prevention. That is very important. And second is the most important thing is, which is really driving me crazy, is the way, the speed with which, because of our ignorance, we are getting overweight and obese. I literally get so upset when the parents don't even tell their child that you are too mota. Be healthy. They want to shy away from the word mota and overweight. So first step, let them realize that it's not healthy. Mera beta unhealthy hai. Because overweight and obesity is a menace and threat to my liver. So if you need to save your liver, then it is very important to eat the right thing. Avoid, a balance is something which is very important. For children, we say that you can give fat, but at the same time, because you so increase their activity, I cannot say too much of don'ts, but I do give them do's and don'ts. Don't eat this. Biscuits are a total waste of energy. Cokes, cool drinks, biscuits, juices. Do they really need it? They need better things, vegetables, fruits, the pulses, the rotis. I never tell them no to eating.
Love can be killing.
So that is what they need to see. Third, encourage them. Just don't say that, make him sit in a place and get him everything to eat, even if you love him. Let him move around, let him go outside to play, because the brain is going to get sharper and will learn more if you actually send them out for that. So it is very important as a tip on the nutrition, your diet, and exercise and health. Despite my busy schedule, my youngsters get a shock. I reach home at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, my gym sir is standing there at home. After a hectic day of 11 to 12 hours I'm working, I still go and do 9 to 10 sometimes, gym 3 days. Because love yourself. There's a God in you, love yourself. There's a God in your child, love the child. So take care of your health. It's much in your hand, very little in the doctor's hand. If you think you could have prevented, than it is. And when you have the right problem, don't go to a chemist and ask him to give you medicine. How cheap. Please approach the medical people. Get the right medicines. Medicines are not cheap. Every medicine has benefits and disadvantages. So what medicines are you taking? Do you even know? But they want to save that consult money of whatever 500 rupees, but buy a medicine for that much, whether that was needed.
And do more harm.
So that is another tip I would want to give. Unnecessarily drugs can also be harmful to you. Utilize the expertise, and I think these are the 3 or 4 steps.
Ma'am, on behalf of...
And last and not the least, never say, he's not done that, blame. Let's all do it. It's we who've not done that. Let's do it together. See what I can do rather than keep cribbing. It's like that relation in your family, same relation outside. And if you have that healthy relation, you will always be positive in life.
True.
And you're doing good. Being a good human being is more important than just being rich or being educated and being intelligent. It's very important that you're a good human being and do the right thing righteously.
Ma'am, on behalf of all the viewers of Mynahcare.com, I really appreciate your talk. We really appreciate the time you give to us, and most importantly, your views would take all our viewers quite a distance in their life.
Thank you so much. If you can, I want, just like these songs get viral, I guess the good interviews should get viral too, where you need to spread this awareness that most of the health is in your hand. So you can take care of it in the right way.